Ekachakra Dham, the appearance of Lord Nityananda. Today we are celebrating the appearance of Lord Nityananda, the embodiment of compassion and mercy, who appeared in the sacred village of Ekachakra. Ekachakra is a simple rural village surrounded by forests, rivers, ponds, and grazing lands. It is a place of natural beauty and spiritual simplicity, and it was here that Lord Nityananda chose to appear, teaching us that the highest spiritual mercy descends not in opulence, but in humility and love. Lord Nityananda was born to Harai Pandit and Padmavati Devi, and from his very childhood he displayed extraordinary qualities. As a young boy, he was deeply absorbed in divine play, often enacting the pastimes of Lord Ram, Lakshman, and the heroes of the Ramayana with his friends. Even as a child, his heart was fully immersed in service to the Supreme Lord. The residents of Ekachakra were naturally drawn to him. His joyful nature, boundless energy, and spontaneous affection touched everyone. He would wander through the village, visit the ponds and forests, and fill the atmosphere with spiritual happiness. Though appearing as a simple village boy, he carried the full spiritual strength of Lord Balaram, the original servant of the Lord. Ekachakra is also known for its sacred places, the ponds, the trees, and the fields where Lord Nityananda played and blessed the land. These places remain holy today because they were touched by his footsteps and his mercy. Later, Lord Nityananda would leave Ekachakra to travel on pilgrimage and eventually join Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Navadvip, becoming the most compassionate distributor of the holy name. But today we remember his appearance, the beginning of his divine mission in this quiet village filled with innocence, devotion, and joy. As we greet the deities today, let us remember that Lord Nityananda's mercy has no qualification. He comes first, he forgives first, and he gives love of God freely to all. Nityananda Prabhu ki.
Hey, Krishna. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Today we're celebrating the very auspicious appearance day of Lord Nityananda Ram. Lord Nityananda Ram ki. Yes. So Maharaj is going to give a talk later on the pastimes, the childhood pastimes of Lord Nityananda, and I'm just going to have a bit of a glimpse into his life. In the age of Kali, we know Krishna appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Sri Balaram appeared as Lord Nityananda. So these two brothers are supremely merciful, unlimitedly kind, because they are giving freely to everyone and anyone without discrimination the very perfection of life, prema bhakti. All that is required is our faith, our willingness to live a life of servitude with humility, and in that spirit, chant the holy name of Krishna. Yes. So Lord Nityananda, who is non-different to Lord Balaram, he chose to appear in the family of Hadai Pandit, a highly qualified Brahmana, and his wife, Padmavati, both very, very exalted devotees. He had appeared in the village of Ekachakra in the month of Magha, January, February. And when he appeared, everyone was just filled with joy, seeing his beautiful, effulgent form and transcendental characteristics. At that time, actually, there was a massive drought in that area. But as soon as Nityananda was born, there was beautiful rains. And instantly, crops, flowers, fruits, grains started growing just abundantly. At this time, it is said that even if someone had the most difficult problems in life, tremendous frustrations, anxieties, disappointments, or bewilderment, they knew if they looked at the beautiful lotus eyes and saw Nityananda's beaming smile, all their worries, frustrations, and anxieties just disappeared forever. Because by the power of his love, all problems of the world would simply become just totally insignificant. Yes. So we should all bow down to this Supreme Lord, Nityananda Ram Prabhu, who is the awarder of the highest joy to all, the bestower of the holy name of Krishna, and the crest jewel of all Paramahamsa mendicants. It is said his face is just more beautiful than the autumn moon. Every feature of his transcendental form was likened to a tidal wave of luscious splendor that just inundated the devotees' senses and drenched their hearts with unlimited satisfaction. It said he moves like a mad elephant, since he's always intoxicated with Krishna Prem, pure love for Krishna. His body is pure spiritual energy. And his eyes are moving to and fro, and his lotus hands is always carrying the glowing transcendental staff. So it is highly recommended that we should simply cry for his mercy. For Lord Nityananda, he is unlimitedly merciful. Especially on these appearance days, devotees, they come before the appearance of whoever it is. Today, Nityananda, we all come before Nityananda, and on these days, the Lord is exceedingly merciful. He's pouring out his blessings. Therefore, we should come before Lord Nityananda on our altar, and we should pray for that mercy, pray for that upliftment in our spiritual life. You know, as a young boy, he concealed his real identity. Therefore, no one really knew who he was. No one knew that this little boy was actually none other than Lord Balaram himself. Thus, he just happily played with the village boys and his parents, because he is the Supreme Lord. They loved him so much. They couldn't even bear to live a moment without seeing him. They were so attached to him. They were just so attached. However, after some years had passed, as a young boy, Nityananda had a strong desire to leave home. Yet he feared telling his parents. He knew it would break their hearts due to their great love and attachment for him. Then one day, when he was 12 years old, an effulgent sannyasi came to their home and was graciously welcomed by Nityananda's father. And Nityananda's father and this sannyasi, they stayed up all night discussing topics about Krishna. Yes. However, the next day, what happened? As the sannyasi was preparing to leave, he turned to Nityananda's father and said, "I have one request." Nityananda's father immediately replied, "Whatever you desire, you may have." The sannyasi replied, "I am on holy pilgrimage. Therefore, I need a good Brahmana companion to accompany me. Please give me your eldest son, Nityananda. I'll protect him. I'll look after him as if he's my own son." Upon hearing this, Nityananda's father was immediately felt this intense distress in his heart. However, he dutifully submitted to the sannyasi's request. You know, it is said that as Nityananda's father stood outside the house, watching his son, Nityananda and the sannyasi walk off and finally just disappear into the distance, he just stood there in a state of shock, utter disbelief. He couldn't believe that this was actually happening. Nityananda was his life and soul. He was so attached. Then suddenly he fell to the ground, weeping bitterly. And as time went on, he stopped eating, he stopped speaking, he stopped sleeping, and everyone thought that he's become mad. He's become mad. The only thing that kept him alive, it is said, was his intense attachment and remembrance of Lord Nityananda. However, after a few months, he passed away from this world. And also, soon after, his wife also passed away, returned to the spiritual world. Meanwhile, Nityananda was blissfully traveling all to the holy places in India. He also traveled, it is said, high up into the Himalayas. And he went to the ashram of Srila Vyasadeva and had a personal meeting with Srila Vyasadeva. Yes. In this way, Lord Nityananda actually, he traveled extensively for 20 years, visiting so many places of pilgrimage. As he was traveling, he was constantly exhibiting these ecstatic moods due to his ecstatic love for Krishna. Yet no one could really understand his inner mood. And during these 20 years of traveling, he lived very, very austerely. He was eating very little, sleeping very little, just lying on the hard ground or sleeping under a tree on the grass. Then after traveling for so many years, 20 years, he came and he waited in Vrindavan. He waited there in Vrindavan for Lord Chaitanya to reveal his Sankirtan pastimes. And when he realized that the Sankirtan pastimes had started, he immediately came to Navadvip. And understanding that Nityananda had arrived in Navadvip, Lord Chaitanya said to his intimate devotees, he said, listen, a great wonder has come. A great wonder. Sripad Nityananda Avadut has come to Navadvip. We are very fortunate. Who has the power to describe his transcendental glories? So soon after, Lord Chaitanya, he took all the devotees to the house of Nanda Acharya, where Lord Nityananda was staying. And as they were walking, doing the Harinam, walking, dancing, chanting, Lord Chaitanya's voice became choked up with emotion. Tears just streamed from his eyes in anticipation of seeing his beloved Nityananda. Then suddenly, from a distance, they could see the house of Nanda Acharya. And on the veranda, there was Lord Nityananda was there. And it is said he was effulgent. He was just emanating this effulgent like a million suns, with a glorious, handsome, fair complexion. He was adorned with glistening ornaments. He wore yellow garments, loosely tied turban on his head. And it said his smile was like glistening lightning. And his voice was like a lion's roar. And his graceful walking was like that of an intoxicated elephant, due to his intoxication of ecstatic love for Krishna. It said that streams of ecstasy just flowed from his cheerful, moon-like face. And his entire being was just flooded with ecstatic love. And it said that he was like a divine child, a being not of this world. One moment he wept, the next moment he laughed uncontrollably or spoke words that no one could understand. So Lord Chaitanya and all the devotees, they immediately offered their obeisances to Lord Nityananda. Then they moved towards the house. And soon Lord Chaitanya was standing directly in front of Lord Nityananda. And Nityananda, looking at Chaitanya's beautiful moon-like face, he was just stunned in ecstasy and simply stared unblinkingly at Lord Chaitanya's effulgent golden form, just completely captivated and enchanted by Gauranga's wondrous splendor. And Nityananda just stood there, unblinkingly, looking at Lord Chaitanya, totally speechless. He couldn't speak. Now, that time, Lord Chaitanya, he wanted to reveal Nityananda's hidden identity to the devotees present. So he had Srivas read a verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam about Krishna's Vrindavan Leela, glorifying Krishna's attractive form. And that verse is wearing a peacock feather ornament upon his head, blue kanakara flowers on his ears, a yellow garment as brilliant as gold, and a Vijayanti garland. Lord Krishna exhibited his transcendental form as the greatest of dancers as he entered the Vrindavan forest, beautifying it with the marks of his footprints. He filled the holes of his flute with the nectar of his lips, and the cowherd boys sang his glories. When Srivas said that verse, upon hearing this, Nityananda went into complete ecstasy. Tears of love just streamed from his eyes. And he began laughing uncontrollably, rolling on the ground in ecstasy, displaying all the ecstatic symptoms of love of God, love for Krishna. And then repeatedly hearing this verse, he became actually maddened. He started roaring like a lion. It is said that when he roared, the sound shook the universe. He jumped in the air, and then he fell down on the ground so forcefully that everyone thought his bones would break to pieces. All the Vaishnavas present, they became afraid. They prayed to Krishna, please save him, Krishna. Oh Krishna, please save him. And soon after, when Lord Nityananda came to external consciousness, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda embraced each other, binding each other with tears of love. Nityananda Prabhu then fell on the ground, offered his obeisances and sweet prayers to Lord Chaitanya. And soon both of them were there trying to catch hold of each other's lotus feet. It is said they wept, they laughed, they talked, they chanted and danced. And Nityananda completely, at that time, he just completely surrendered his life to Lord Chaitanya and was simply floating in the ocean of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's love. Both these lords felt an indescribable happiness at seeing each other. And it is said that there is no other comparison that can be made of love and affection than that exhibited by Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda for each other. So the glories of Lord Nityananda are infinite and unfathomable. In transcendental emotion, he calls himself a servant of Lord Chaitanya. Yet sometimes he serves Lord Chaitanya as his guru, sometimes as his friend, just as Lord Balaram played and served Krishna in different moods. And just like Balaram, Lord Nityananda, intoxicated with the madness of ecstatic love, would sometimes take the dress of an avadut, or someone who doesn't care for any social, religious, or Vedic convention. In Narottam Das Thakur, he sings, the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda are the shelter where one will get the soothing moonshine, not of one moon, but of millions of moons. Millions of moons. If the world wants to have real peace, the world should take shelter of Lord Nityananda, who is the Guru Tattva. Guru Tattva, the original sum total of all gurus. This means that all bona fide spiritual masters or gurus are actually representatives of Lord Nityananda. He's the original spiritual master, the mercy incarnation of the Lord, manifested as the spiritual master, the savior of the sincere devotees. Yes. So by his guidance, he lays the foundation in our spiritual lives so we can easily approach the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and enter into the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And he is so merciful, he doesn't accept any offenses whatsoever. He is simply the kind friend and well-wisher to one and all. You know, the name Nitya means eternally, and the name Ananda means happy. So Lord Nityananda is always overwhelmed with joy and happiness and ecstasy. For Nityananda, there is no unhappiness. He is forever full of joy. You know, to facilitate the spreading of his Sankirtan mission, Lord Chaitanya had to accept sannyas, the sannyas order of life, so people would respect and hear from him. But in doing so, he also had to follow very strict rules and regulations according to social convention. Therefore, he was forbidden to associate with very low sinful classes of people in society. Therefore, to avoid criticism by the higher classes who he was trying to influence, Lord Chaitanya instructed Nityananda to marry and go out and deliver even the lowest of the lowest members of society. Lord Chaitanya taught if someone has an eager heart and a little sincerity, they can accept and receive his causeless mercy, get liberation, go back to Godhead. And those that don't even have that are the ones that Nityananda was to deliver. Yeah, so taking his mission to heart, Lord Nityananda would go out and he'd fall at the feet of such lowly, fallen, sinful, wretched persons with tears in his eyes and beg them, please accept Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Please chant this Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I mean, he is, Lord Nityananda is the unparalleled supreme object of love of all the residents of the spiritual world. So transcendentally perfect. Yet that same Lord falls at the feet of the lowest, most fallen, wretched persons, begging them to accept the treasure of love of God, begging them to accept the means out of suffering, begging them to accept the means by which they can become peaceful and supremely happy forever. This was the mercy of Lord Nityananda. He showed us by his example the supreme humility, compassion, and mercy of the Supreme Lord. You know, just as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave this instruction to Lord Nityananda, so also Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami, in 1922, he gave Srila Prabhupada the same instruction. Yes. Go to the Western world without discrimination. Preach Krishna consciousness in English in countries where people have very little God consciousness, are hopelessly addicted to so many bad habits. And in the spirit of Lord Nityananda, Srila Prabhupada took that instruction as his life and soul. You know, Lord Nityananda's mercy and kindness was so perfectly manifested through Srila Prabhupada's heart. As a pure Vaishnava, Srila Prabhupada's heart, it was bleeding to see the fallen conditioned souls suffering in their forgetfulness of Krishna. Therefore, just as Lord Nityananda, like an ascetic beggar, went out house to house. You know, we know Srila Prabhupada, he arrived in New York City with no money, no support, and just unwillingly underwent great difficulty and inconvenience to deliver us from the material ocean. Actually, in some times he would mention this, that I was just like a beggar there in New York City. Sometimes I didn't even know where I was going to live. But he did this out of his love for Krishna, his love for his spiritual master, and his love for all of us. You know, before the break of dawn, Lord Nityananda would go out into the villages, to people's homes, and he would sing to them. They were trying to sleep. He would start singing, "You are simply wasting your valuable human form of life, decorating your bodies, oversleeping, indulging in sinful acts, over-accumulating material things. What are you doing for your soul? What are you doing for your soul? Wake up, wake up." Sleeping souls. Chant the names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In this way, Lord Nityananda would be constantly moving about, chanting, dancing, preaching. And it is said, anyone who simply heard him chant or saw him dance would immediately be captivated by love of God. And if by chance he lovingly glanced at you, he would infuse you with ecstatic love for Krishna. Yes. So in this preaching spirit, he would roam by the Ganges, through the villages, through the towns, singing. Actually, he had this special song he used to sing. And the song goes, worship Gauranga, worship Gauranga, speak of Gauranga, chant Gauranga's name. Whoever takes the mercy of Gauranga is my life and soul. He would sing that song. So Nityananda, he is the embodiment of the causeless mercy. And the story of Jagai and Madai, they tell of his mercy. The story of Jagai. I mean, everyone in Navadvip, they feared these two rogues, Jagai and Madai. They were murderers, rapists, robbers, drunkards, full of hate, full of violence. Everyone warned Nityananda and Haridas Thakur, don't go near these demons. They will kill you. However, Nityananda, with tears of compassion, went to those violent drunkards. He tried to deliver them. Despite their demoniac nature, Lord Nityananda felt love for them. He felt love for them. Love and compassion. In that love and compassion, he begged them to chant the holy name. In response, those two wicked brothers, sinful brothers, suddenly they became enraged. They wanted to kill Nityananda and Haridas. And Nityananda and Haridas had to run away, and they were chasing them. Because Nityananda and Haridas, they ran faster. They got away. However, if we're out on Sankirtan and we meet people that are like that, we just, okay, we just don't go near them. We just keep moving on. However, the very next day, Nityananda came back. He came back to them, and in a humble, compassionate mood, he tried to invite them to chant. Yes. Once again, the two drunkard brothers, they became enraged. One of them picked up an earthen pot, struck Nityananda on the head, causing blood to flow. Despite being attacked, Nityananda was still trying to pacify them. He was still trying to make friends with them, trying to help them. However, we know within an instant, Lord Chaitanya miraculously appeared on the scene, began to invoke his Sudarshan chakra, ready to kill these offenders. However, Nityananda was pleading with him from his heart. Don't hurt them. Don't hurt them. Forgive them. Let us give them the eternal bliss of devotional service. Nityananda then reminded Lord Chaitanya of his mission, which was to deliver the most fallen souls of the Kali Yuga. It is said that special mercy upon the fallen souls is available to everyone in this age of Kali, and especially to those who within their hearts actually feel themselves the most fallen. They're especially, yes. So hearing Nityananda's compassionate words, Lord Chaitanya decided to mercifully spare them and made them promise to give up their sinful ways and become devotees of the Lord. Immediately, those two terrified brothers agreed, and they just fell down at the feet of Lord Chaitanya and surrendered their lives to Lord Chaitanya. And actually, in due course of time, they became great celebrated devotees by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. So this Hare Krishna Sankirtan movement, inaugurated by Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, it's still flowing. It's still flowing like a great river, inundating the entire world. And this ISKCON Hare Krishna movement is carrying the water of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda's mercy. Yes. Srila Prabhupada declared, if you're serious about going back to Godhead, you must become fully spiritualized. And if you catch the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, then you will become immediately spiritualized and eternally happy. Yes. So the greatest way to please Lord Nityananda is simply to enthusiastically, with great eagerness, chant the names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, and dance ecstatically for the Lord's pleasure in a mood of great humility. Reach out for the Lord's mercy and then try and share it with others in this world. After Lord Chaitanya had departed from this world, Lord Nityananda was feeling such incredible acute pangs of separation from his dear Lord. So much so that he decided he must return to the spiritual world and reunite with his beloved Lord Chaitanya. So one day, taking his two wives with him, he went to ISKCON, the place where he disappeared, where he appeared. And then he took darshan of the deities there. Then after staying there for a few days, one day he just entered the temple. Suddenly he just disappeared, went back to Godhead. Shri Nityananda Ram ki. Yes, because all the Vaishnavas, they became overwhelmed with separation from. They loved Nityananda so much. They just cried in lamentation, repeatedly just fell unconscious. They constantly chanted the holy name of the Lord and expressed their grief and prayed, what is the use of our wealth? What is the use of our followers and life? Lord Nityananda has left us. They just lamented and cried. Now, hearing of the Lord's disappearance, actually all the people of Nadia became terribly distressed. Everyone just loved Nityananda so much. They were just so distressed, being unable to see Lord Nityananda anymore. And all the local devotees, including the children, the elderly, everyone just cried in separation from Lord Nityananda. They all prayed, all glories to Lord Nityananda, the dearest associate of Lord Chaitanya. No one is equal to you within the three worlds. You are the reservoir of transcendental bliss. Those who serve you achieve pure devotional service, for you are the deliverer of the fallen souls of this age of Kali. You forgave everyone's grave offences. You have appeared solely for the good fortune of this world. Shai, the appearance day of Lord Nityananda Ram ki. Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki. Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai Gaura Premanandi. Okay, Hare Krishna. So I think the program starts at 9 o'clock. Okay, 9 o'clock, we should all come down. Beginning of the program today. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.